Alright, today we will be talking about the Madmax Plotter. This is not the one in the Chia GUI, rather it is the standalone one. So to use Madmax, we do need to have a Notepad program, and what I mean by that is on Windows, there is a program called Notepad here, which I'm not too big of a fan of. I use Notepad++, and I personally just find it a lot better and more usable. So I will show you the link here. So if we open up Chrome, we can type in download Notepad and then plus right here on the top one, notepad++.org. We can use any of these really. So I'm just gonna click this one, and over here we have the 32-bit. We have the ARM64 down there, and then there's even some portable versions here. I just download this one here, and this one just works absolutely fine. And since I have it, I'm not actually gonna download that again. But the next thing, once we have the Notepad, is getting Madmax program itself. So if we press the new tab here, we can search Google here, Madmax download, and then GitHub. And it's gonna be this top one here with numbers. So this is the GitHub page for the Madmax program. And if we go down, this here is also going to be in the README file when we download it. But these are going to be these variables that we have to play with and mess around with. And there is quite a bit, which makes this a really neat plotting option, because you can specifically customize this here to the availability of your personal computer. There's also a support page here. I have actually donated a little bit because I really appreciate this program. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we will download it here. So we're gonna go to Chia Plotter right down here under packages, and then from here we're gonna go ahead and look for the link. So right here, install Windows, click right here and right there. So we're gonna go ahead and download this one. And as you see, it loads quickly because it's a small file, and I have it opening in WinRAR. And this here is the contents of it. We're going to go ahead and extract this here to a location where we know. I'm just going to do local disk here, and then I'll just call it Madmax, so default. Okay. Now, once that's been extracted, we can go ahead and close out of here, and we'll navigate to where we downloaded that. So right here, this here is exactly what we saw in the screenshot and the site. So it is important to have the README here, because this here gives us the variables to play with. And then we want to work with the command here. So if we right click, we're gonna get a show more options and edit with Notepad++. There we go. Alright, now that we have that here, we're gonna go ahead and have the Notepad open as well, and I don't need that much, so we'll go ahead and do that. And let's zoom out just a bit. Okay, so this here is what the document looks like that we're working with, or the Notepad here. And the line that we are gonna change is just the stuff right here that I highlighted. So if we look here, -n or -n, and that is for the count number of plots to create. So when we plot, as you know, there's different sizes of drives. I will leave a link of that or list of that in the description here. But in the case of me, I have a lot of 12 terabyte drives, so that's going to be 110 plots max. If I already have some filled, then you can adjust it to how much more that drive can fit. If you have a brand new 12, then you would just go ahead and we would change this variable here to 110. Now if we look here under the -r, this here is going to be threads. It is important here not to over push your threads, because we do have to have some stuff available for resources here, like the operating system and some stuff that might be running in the background. So if we have 4 threads. That's dual core there. We don't want to use all 4 threads. We would rather want to use 2, maybe even 3, depending if you have stuff running in the background. And in my case, I have a Ryzen 5900X, so that's 12 cores, 24 threads. I usually put like 20 there. Sometimes if I do some stuff in the background, I do drop that to 19 though. The next segment here, the -U, this is going to be buckets. We don't really mess with this one here. Depending on your system, you might be able to drop it to 128 and you may get better results, but that's the beauty of the Madmax Plotter. You can adjust it whenever if needed. And the next item here on the list is the -T. So if we go here, temporary directory, and here it is important, needs about 220 gigabytes. So we have to have enough room because, as you guys know in an earlier video, 101 gig plot is the final size. It needs over 220 to get that created. So here we would just pick the drive. So this here is going to be the plotting one. You can have a normal SATA SSD here. You can even have an M.2 in here. And you would just type in whatever drive it is. And if you have it inside of a folder, you would change this here to like the folder name. So we'll just type in like plots. Or if you just have it on the drive itself, you just click back here, get rid of that, and you have it going straight to the D drive. Now for the next part here, we have the -D, which is final directory. This here is where the plot is going to be housed at the end. So for instance, an external drive, or we have an internal drive that we talked about, you would just go ahead and do the same thing. If it's in a folder, you'd rename that to whatever it is. If you have it in just the drive itself, get rid of that, and then it's gonna get straight sent to that drive there. The pool key is what you would need to put in if you want to go pooling, as well as the farmer key. Those can actually be found in the command line interface, which I have made a video about, or how to find it inside of the GUI itself. And you would go ahead and copy and paste those into there. Now, as far as some other items here, which you don't see, some drives and motherboards, you can have 2 M.2s, and like I said, those ones do write quite hefty, very fast speeds. You can actually switch it up, and rather than one drive just taking all the force, all the plotting, wearing it down really fast, you can switch between 2. One of the drives will take a little bit more abuse than the other one, but you can get quite a bit faster times with it. So if you have 2 drives, then what you would do is you would just simply do the space here, and then you do -2, because right here, -2 temporary directory, and this here is where you can assign a RAM disk if you have 128 gigs of RAM. Or you can just stick another M.2 in there, and then since we have this incomplete, we would just do space, and then for example, we can just do this Z drive and then do like so, and that will now have some of the items go onto the one drive. The first one will take the most abuse, the second one will take less abuse here. And then another really nice one from this list is the wait for copy, and you can put this in any order, it doesn't even have to matter. So I'm just gonna, like, for instance, we'll put it right after here, so we can do -W, and what this here does is, rather than it starting up the next plot as soon as it gets finished being created, it's gonna wait for the copy of it, and then once the copy is done, then it can start with the plotting, and that's going to dedicate your resources to just that one plot rather than having 2 going at the same time and slowing down. So that's the really basics of Madmax here. And like I said, some of these I just haven't used yet. Other ones are quite important because we don't want to overstep the boundaries. Some of these only work with a couple hardware pieces, but this here will be the Madmax tour, and I will have the link for Notepad++ once again in the comments. I will have the instructions here in the comments, and then yeah, this program has helped me save tons and tons of time. It took a little bit to get used to, but once you have most of the settings done, the only real things you need to change are the number right here. Sometimes this here, if you're doing stuff in the background, and then the final directory, we have to change if we just fill up like a different drive. Alright, once we have done putting in what you need to for the Notepad script here, we would just simply hit save over here, and then if we go back to the spot where you downloaded Madmax, you would click on the plot with log, and you will see something like this pop up. So just to give you like a rundown, if it's the first one here, it's going to say crafting 1 out of, and then that number there is going to be the one you selected, how many threads you're using, buckets, and then if you put in these infos right here, it will list them out. Now if you have one directory for the plotting, you will just have one here. I have two, so that's why I have two there, both drives. And then it gives you the plot name, and then it breaks down here what phase are, and then the time. So phase 1, 906 seconds, phase 2, 426, phase 3, looks like it was 554, and then the writing phase 84. So to see the final size here, and then right here the total creation time was 1971 seconds, or 32 minutes. If you do lots and lots of plotting, this time will eventually go up just because you are wearing the drive down a bit more. But with the tweaking of the threads, you can either raise that or drop that. And then, like I said, you just don't want to go too far overboard on the threads that are available. Other than that, you should be absolutely golden. And then the last part here is the final directory. As you see, with the current configuration, since I have on 2 drives, it is a bit longer here for 420-second copy, but if you have a single one, that might actually be a bit faster. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and please consider liking and hitting that subscribe button so you can stay updated on Chia videos, tutorials, and troubleshooting.